Hello, I'm Jerry, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to hack Chrome extensions. We're going to download the Chrome extension, crack open the source code without any third-party tools and no complicated command line scripts, and then we'll look through the source code itself. I'll show you how to deobfuscate some of the more harder to read source codes that are intentionally obfuscated on purpose, and we'll get to see the nuts and bolts of your favorite apps. This method will work for Windows or Mac, so either platform will work perfectly fine. Let's get started. Hop over to the Chrome extension store by going to chrome.google.com/webstore, and let's search for Honey at the top here, where it says Search Extensions. PayPal Honey is a pretty popular coupon app that I'm sure many of you use, so I bet all of you probably have this installed. But if you don't, click into this and hit Add to Chrome. Hit Add Extension. You can skip this last part where you have to join with an account. Just hit the X button and keep this page open. We're going to use this page because we want the ID towards the bottom here. This ID is important because it will tell you exactly where to find the Chrome extension package on your system. When you download a Chrome extension, it actually downloads a zip file to your machine. The zip file is exactly the same thing that the developer will upload to the Google Web Store. So whatever they've uploaded to the web store is now downloaded on your machine. What we have to do now is to find out where to find it on your machine. To do that, create a new tab and navigate to Chrome://version. Once you land on this page, you'll see a field called Profile Path, and Profile Path will have a value that shows you where your Google Chrome folder is installed on your machine. This is what it looks like on a Mac computer. You'll have something similar on a Windows machine as well. You should see the keywords Google Chrome default somewhere in your profile path. Now that we have the path, let's navigate to it. Open up the terminal on your Mac computer. If you have a Windows computer, you can probably navigate by pasting it directly into the folder URL. On a Mac, with the terminal open, you just cd into this exact path here. I'm going to write it out by hand because there are some spaces that need to be escaped whenever you type this out. I am currently in that same directory, users, Jerry, application support. Now we want to go further into another folder called extensions. This is different than the extension folder. It should just be extensions, plural. Navigate to that and let's open it in the File Explorer. You're going to see a couple of different IDs here. All of these are different extensions that you may have already installed on your Google Chrome browser. We're looking specifically for the PayPal Honey folder so that we can look at the source code. So this is where that unique ID that I mentioned in the URL comes into play. This ID here will tell you what package you want to look for in that folder. So what we're looking for is BMNL. So let's find the folder that has those 4 letters starting with it. For me, it's the one right here that says BMNL. This is the version that's associated with it. Click into that. And this is what the architecture of the application looks like. There is a ton of stuff going on in here, but you can always tell that it's a Chrome extension because of the manifest.json file that lives at the root directory. Let's open this up in VS Code to take a look at the source code. I've got the folder open here in VS Code, and I'm going to open the manifest.json file. And in here, you can see all of the scripts that are being imported, the icons, different settings that the Honey PayPal app is using. If you look at any of these JavaScript files, you'll notice a complete mess. It looks totally random and totally gibberish. This could be due to a variety of reasons. It could be just plain JavaScript that is minified and probably obfuscated. It also could be something built in React, which has its own way of converting React JSX code to regular JavaScript code. Minification and obfuscation will remove all of the new lines and spaces and even replace variable names with usually a letter or some other kind of character that makes it hard to understand and reduces the size of the file. There are definitely tools that help you deobfuscate code, but they'll never really show you the true source code. It's very hard to know when variable names that use simple letters, what they actually mean. The only way that you could really know this is by getting your hands on the actual source code. But you can still infer functionality by looking at how a source code works. So one way that we can kind of make sense of this jumbled up code is by unminifying it, which basically means that we introduce new lines and spaces into the code so that it makes it much easier to read and understand. One of the tools that a lot of companies use to mangle and compress their JavaScript code is called Terser. You can get access to Terser by going to github.com/terser/terser. This gives you a variety of configuration to make your code harder to read, which would be perfect for production applications, especially when it's public to anyone who decides to download it, kind of like a Chrome extension. I'm going to go over how to use this and how to protect Chrome extension code in a future video, so stay tuned for that. We can unminify by using a variety of tools. I'm not going to recommend any specific ones, but I'll show you how to do this online. First thing we want to do is copy all of the source code here by just doing a Command or Control A and a Command or Control C to copy it. Back on Google, you can just type in Unminify JavaScript and just click the first result, unminify.com. Paste your code in here. We're just going to paste that huge amount of code that we copied in the background here and hit unminify. The output is going to look strange, but it looks a lot better than this jumbled up mess here. A lot of this is still complicated, but you now have access to the source code itself, and you can make this a little more readable. A lot of this might actually just be basic JavaScript setup, but there's definitely logic in here that's useful to understanding the nuts and bolts of this application. Let's check out Grammarly. This is another Chrome extension that's super popular. Let's crack that open. I'm going to go back to the Chrome Web Store and type in Grammarly, and I'm going to just hit Add to Chrome, and you can see that Grammarly has been added to my extensions. We now have the ID here, so we know what exactly to look for. I'm going to go back to the folder where all of the Chrome extensions are stored, and we're looking for KBFN, which is exactly the 4 letters that start this unique identifier for Grammarly. Let's open this in VS Code. In VS Code, I have the specific Grammarly package open, and I'm looking at the manifest.json file. We see basically the exact same things that we saw for the Honey app, except there's a lot more configuration that's taking place here. The service worker is really like the most important part that does things in the background. If we look at it, you'll just see import scripts, src, JS, Grammarly background. So let's take a look at src, JS, and Grammarly background. There is definitely a lot of minifying and obfuscation going on here as well, but you still have access to the source code. This is what runs the Grammarly application on Chrome. You can perform the same step to unminify this by just copying all of this, jumping back to the unminifying website and just pasting that giant code block, and this is what you see. Clearly there's Webpack being used. This is a lot of code, a lot of stuff happening in here. So Grammarly and Honey are both pretty big companies. I'm sure they make millions and millions of dollars in revenue. A Honey was sold for $1 billion or more. So as you can tell, they take security pretty seriously. But still, you get a pretty good insight into what's going on in the background of the Chrome extension. Let's take a look at something that's a lot easier to understand, that doesn't really come out of the box obfuscated or minified. And that is going to be my Chrome extension that's part of the How to Make a Chrome Extension video tutorial series on this YouTube channel, which I will link in the description below. That is not going to be obfuscated, so I will show you what something like that looks like. Let's go to the search page and type in global entry drops, hit the one that says jerryhacks.com on it, and hit add to Chrome. And as you can tell, it is now installed on the machine. So let's look for a package that has the name starting with MLJI. We have MLJI in here. I'm going to open this in VS Code. I've got the folder open here in VS Code, and when I look in the manifest.json, it's pretty clear. A couple of different things that were added by Chrome itself. So I didn't add key or update URL. This was added by Chrome whenever I uploaded to the store. Version, name, the manifest version, icons, description, background. These are all things that I added myself as part of the tutorial series. So this looks all as expected. We see the service worker is background.js. If we hit into that, we can see that it's all very easy to read. No minifying, no obfuscation going on here. So anybody looking at the source code can even see the comments that we've left as part of the tutorial series. So this is just to show you that not every single Chrome extension is going to be obfuscated. Not every one of them will be minified or hard to read or hard to understand. Some of them may be just open as what you see here. Others, like Honey, are going to be much more complicated to understand, which is probably most likely done intentionally. And that is it for this tutorial series on how to crack Chrome extension source codes and how to look into them. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe so I can continue making more of these in the future. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Jerry.